Hey everyone, LittleMoeGaming here. Happy Friday. Hope everybody has had a great week, productive in any way, shape, or form that is productive to you. Whether that be with work or your hobbies, gaming, anything that you've been wanting to get done. Last time I told y'all that my wife and I were going to go up to Estes Park for the weekend, which we did, and we got back in Monday evening. Amazing trip. I absolutely love going up there. It's cathartic, it's relaxing. Just getting back out there in nature and, doing a little bit of hiking, seeing the beautiful vistas of the Rocky Mountains. I'll probably be showing some footage that I took. I tried to record some vlog style videos. We're at Lily's Lake. Yep, that's a lake. Frozen. We're up in the mountains. It's windy. And we were gonna walk around it, but it's too windy. She's dying. I am too. But yeah, otherwise beautiful. I mean, it is. Yeah, there was this moment where we walked across a frozen lake. It's called Bear Lake. This is Bear Lake, and we're walking on it. I don't know how deep this snow is, but it's pretty firm. This almost looks like the lake in the last season of Game of Thrones. You know what I'm talking about? It's pretty cool. Whoa. That was absolutely terrifying. It got to a point where even my wife was kind of like looking at me like I was a sissy. But I mean, look, when we were walking across the lake, there were moments where my foot would sink into the snow that was on top of the ice, which we had no idea how thick it was. And there was a sign that said that thin ice was possible. So whenever my foot would sink in, I would be like, okay, it's over for me. I literally told her that. I was like, it's over for me. It's done. Like, but no, it was an absolutely amazing experience. And one of the videos I took, I'm going to be talking about this fried chicken place that we tried. So I'll let that video explain it real quick. What's up, everybody? So we're about to eat at a restaurant called The Post. It sells chicken and beer. I'm not going to have beer, obviously. Well, it's probably not too obvious. I don't drink beer, but you didn't know that. But it's at the Stanley Hotel, the hotel that is what The Shining is based off of. Here's the restaurant. So we just got finished eating at The Post, as you can see behind me. Didn't really get a chance to show the food. We were too hungry. And my wife just took a really cool picture. Here, you want to see it? Show them the picture. So that's what the sky looks like right now. We can't really see it, but I guess her camera caught it. It's pretty nice out here. It's dark, so you can see a lot of the stars. But yeah, good food, good fried chicken. I don't know, maybe Cane's is a little better, but it's like one of the hype places here in Estes Park. So yeah. I also want to mention, before I get into the topic for today, I do have a big topic I want to talk about in terms of gaming, but I want to mention one thing that I experienced up there, and it's something that I've been experiencing a lot here in Colorado that you don't really get to experience a lot in Texas, unless you live out like in the country. But like if you live in the city like Houston, like I did for 20 years, you don't have a lot of opportunities to truly stargaze. And that's something that I've loved about Colorado. I think the only time I ever experienced true stargazing when I was in Houston, one of my best friends, Hector, we used to do these late night drives about 45 minutes out of town to go to Buc-ee's. I think it was in Victoria or something like that. So we would go down the highway and it would get out into the country. And one time we just kept driving and we went out into this area and it was really, really dark. And we thought to ourselves, hey, maybe if we pull over to the side of the road, turn the car off, it'll be dark enough, because there really wasn't any light pollution. Like, it was way out there. And we parked on the side of the road, looked up into the sky, and you could see almost everything. Now, it wasn't perfect. There was some light coming from a distance, from the city, but it was dark enough that you could almost make out like the Milky Way galaxy, or I think that's the galaxy that you see. And I remember that was a really cool experience. And a friend of mine had told me that if I really wanted to stargaze out in Texas, the best thing would be to go to Big Bend Park. And I always wanted to go there. I never did. But coming out here to Colorado, I've been able to experience that a lot more. There's a lot of areas you can go to, not even that far out of town here. I live in Colorado Springs, and it's almost like you can drive 30 minutes out of town just into the mountains, and you get to a point where there's absolutely no light pollution. Pull over to the side of the road, step out of the car, and you can see everything. And there's even an area that we found when I first came here to look for an apartment before I moved, before my wife even got here. I came out here with my brother, Weil, and one of our closest friends, Assad. If you guys are listening, shout out to y'all. But yeah, we went out there. We had rented a truck, and we went and parked in like this parking lot of a homestead out in the middle of nowhere. And the elevation was higher even. I think it's like 9,000 feet, which is like 3,000 feet higher than here, the Springs. So it was really cool. I mean, you go out there late at night, if there's no cloud cover, you can see everything. And we sat there in the truck for like almost 45 minutes to an hour, just mesmerized looking up at the sky. And it was such a cool moment. And every time I've tried to go back out there, there's been clouds. And I guess that's just because I've been trying in the winter times. But once the spring, summertime hits, I want to definitely try to do more stargazing. And when we were up in Estes Park, my wife and I were able to see, there's near the hotel that we were in, we were very close to the entrance of Rocky Mountain National Park. And the entrance, or at least around it, it's very dark. There's little to no light pollution. So we just every night, we stayed there for 3 nights. Every night we would go out to that area, park for a bit. And even if it was like windy or cold outside, we just sit in the car, open up the sunroof, and just kind of look out and see everything. And it's just such a cool thing to see. If you haven't had the opportunity to do it, and you do have a way to do it, I highly recommend that you go out there and just stargaze. It's such a cool experience. And it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Colorado since I moved here. But to get into the topic for today, talk about some gaming. So, first off, you're watching some footage of Judgment near the end game of the game. I'm in the last few chapters. I've really been grinding out the last few chapters, playing as much as I can after work, just trying to get through it. I'm not trying to rush it. It's not that I want to rush the game, but it's that like end of the game rush, whenever you get near to the end of the game and you know that you're there, you just start to focus on the main story. At least that's how I feel. I start to kind of focus on the side stuff less and just want to like rip through the story if I feel like I've experienced enough of the game, especially if there's another game that I want to play. And I do want to play Kingdom Come Deliverance and really like get into it. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving this game. Judgment is amazing. I'll probably make a video just talking about it in full. You're also going to see some footage from Hot Wheels Unleashed. That's been fun. I've been kind of booting that game up and playing it here and there. Last week, I talked about the fact that the director and the team behind Marvel Rivals got laid off. Talked about it for a brief moment. I said I was going to talk about it more in my next video, which here we are. And unfortunately, since then, there has been another big event in the industry similar to that, except this one was a little shocking. And that is that Monolith, the studio behind the classic Shadow of Mordor, the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor game, got shut down. Warner Brothers shut it down, and they also shut down the Wonder Woman game that they were making. And this is a big deal. I mean, they were this was the studio behind Shadow of Mordor, which introduced the Nemesis system. For those of you watching this video, if you're not in the know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you're just not that into gaming news or that deep into the hobby to understand what's going on, but Monolith was the studio under Warner Brothers who made this Lord of the Rings game called Shadow of Mordor, which you've no doubt heard about. It was a really big deal when it came out. And it had this amazing system called the Nemesis system, which was absolutely game-changing in the way it works, with the way that it handles AI and storytelling and customizing it to your experience. Where like you literally make Nemesis in the game. Like you kill an orc, and that orc will literally remember you and will come back and get revenge and become a leader and rise up the ranks and build up an army to fight you. And it's just absolutely insane. And they cranked it up even more in Shadow of War, which I haven't played yet. And that game was definitely plagued with a lot of issues when it came out. But I heard that since then they kind of stripped it of those issues. And now it's just a fun, Shadow of War game. It just kind of weird that, they had like the loot boxes and whatnot. So, and that just kind of brings me into what I want to say and like give my 2 cents on the topic. A lot of content creators have been talking about this, but I do want to give my opinion as well. It's the corporate oversight of these games that really is causing these problems and like ruining these games and making these situations. Like Shadow of War had all those loot boxes out of a corporate decision. And then, like there was a corporate decision for Shadow of War to have all these loot boxes. They did it in Battlefront 2 as well. And it was an era where, all these games were trying to monetize, and they want to make all these live service games. And it's just ruining these studios, and they're wasting so much talent. And from what I've, the research that I've made on this and what I've heard in other videos, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description to a video that was put up by Luke Stevens. He's a great content creator I watch and follow every week. He does these streams and talks about news in the gaming industry in pretty vivid detail, and does a lot of research. And he was talking about how, the Wonder Woman game, for example, they were going to make the studio behind Shadow of War, Monolith, they were going to make a game using the Nemesis system. It was going to be this really unique game, and then that got shut down by the executives behind Warner Brothers because it didn't have anything to do with a big character name. So then they decided to do the Wonder Woman game. And the people who actually made Shadow of Mordor, the talent and the developers behind it, they ended up leaving. They quit. Which is similar to what happened at Rocksteady, the people behind the Batman Arkham games, where the people that were behind those games left. And Rocksteady is a shadow of its old self, and they made that terrible Suicide Squad game, which is absolutely ridiculous that they even thought that would be a good idea. But the fact that Monolith, we already know, so that's something that I didn't know, is that the people behind Shadow of Mordor, they were not working on Wonder Woman. They were already gone. So the people working on Wonder Woman, they were completely new people who hadn't worked on those games. And they were going to do something with the Nemesis system, but it sounded like they were trying to make it a live service game as well. So honestly, it's probably good that it got shut down if that's the case. But it's just so sad because Warner Brothers also has a patent on the Nemesis system. I think it's almost like a 20-year patent on such an amazing gameplay system that really is a game changer, and I would love to see it implemented in other games. Sorry, I gotta check something on my phone real quick. Sitting in my car here after work, and I just wanted to check how far along I was with this. But yeah, the Nemesis system is so cool, and if they would just license it out to other developers and other companies so they can implement it in other games, we can get some really cool experiences. Imagine if it was implemented in a game like Fallout, or I even heard talk of it being mentioned or being implemented in a Mandalorian type game. Somebody had talked about that, I think in Luke's video, actually, the one I'm talking about. But there's so many possibilities, and the fact that they patented it and it's not accessible until 2036, is absolutely absurd. And I think it's crazy that, you know, the guys that, or the people who like run these companies, they don't understand what the gamers want. They think that they have the answers to everything, but they end up just wasting millions and millions of dollars. You know, like especially what happened with Concord. I don't even have to talk about that really. If you know, you know. Concord was a huge fail. I mean, they wasted like I think $200 to $400 million on that, and the game got released and shut down in less than a week. And it's like lost media at this point. Like no one can play the game. It's just gone. Even the people who worked on it lost their jobs, and that's the problem too. Is that a lot of the people who spend years and years and years working on these games, the games end up getting canceled and failed, and they don't. You know, it's like, what do they do next? You know, and yeah, so absolutely crazy that that's happening. It's unfortunate. You know, I thought that the Marvel Rivals thing was crazy because Marvel Rivals was so successful. You'd think like, why would they want to get rid of the team behind that game? I mean, it was so successful, it's doing so well. Why would you get rid of the people who made it? You know, and I guess it's just, you know, corporate like cost cutting procedures and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, at the end of the day, I understand these companies, you know, their goal is to make money, their goal is the bottom line. But I just think that when it comes to, you know, being in charge of these, like, you know, like entertainment, right? Like when it comes to, you know, like you're making video games, right? Like you're spending years and years and years and millions of dollars to make a video game, to make something that is meant to be entertaining and enjoyed for years to come. Why would you not, you know, put a little more effort into understanding what it is that people actually want and what would actually work? And look at the successes, right? I mean, look at games like Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring is not a live service game. No From Software game is a live service game. I mean, I think Elden Ring Night Rain is like their first venture into like a multiplayer co-op thing. I don't know if it's live service necessarily, but all the From Software games like Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls itself, you know, super, super successful games. And they have nothing to do with multiplayer or live service. And I'm not saying that multiplayer and live service can be 100% is always bad. I mean, there are good examples of it. Look at Helldivers, look at Marvel Rivals. But just because you have some games that are very successful like that doesn't mean that everybody has to make it. And so a lot of these companies who have found success, like Rocksteady, you know, they were so successful and winning with Batman Arkham. You know, those are classic games. Some of the best games ever made. And then they do that Suicide Squad game, and it's just mind-boggling that they even thought that that would be successful. I mean, Suicide Squad is a game, the idea behind it is amazing. It's absolutely an amazing idea. But what they did is atrocious. And I didn't even play the game, but I've seen enough, you know, to know that, you know, and I think they canceled it at this point, or like, you know, basically like released the last bit of DLC for it. So it's a dead game now, or it's gonna be at least. I mean, it's just crazy that, you know, but then that's another thing too, is that the people who made those Batman games, they're not there anymore. They're not the ones who worked on Suicide Squad. And I think they're off doing their own thing. So I guess they were just like, okay, well, hey, we have these IPs, you know, we have this name behind us. Let's go ahead and make, you know, a live service Suicide Squad game. It's going to make money and it's going to be successful and yada, yada. And then there you go with that. And then like the same thing with Concord and, you know, Monolith, you know, if they were trying to make a live service Wonder Woman game, I mean, that's just like, I don't know. Like that tells me that they are super out of touch over there at Warner Brothers. If they think that that model of a game can still be successful, and it's probably for the best that it was canceled, honestly, if it was going to be like that, because at the end of the day, no one wants to play that kind of game. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not trying to be like, you know, negative or anything, but yeah, no one wants to play those games. I mean, the live service model, it started with Destiny, at least in my eyes. I mean, there was always MMOs and all that kind of stuff, but the live service games as we know it today, in my eyes, started with Destiny when that released. And Destiny did it well. It was the first of its kind, too. I mean, it was the first time we had like this first-person shooter MMO game that was on consoles, or live service or whatever you want to call it. And it did really, really well, and it found a niche and super successful. And then all these companies that have tried to do it since then have just been failing. And it's so crazy that it just seems like, now it seems like companies are learning their lesson after wasting millions and millions of dollars and laying off a lot of great talent and, causing all these issues. It's just insane. But yeah, so I just wanted to, say my piece on that, give my 2 cents on the matter. Nothing really that deep to say here, just me ranting about, live service games and, these companies making these decisions that are absolutely absurd. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. What do you think about it? How do you feel about Monolith being shut down? How do you feel about live service games? How do you feel about, these situations, these companies trying to follow these models and trends that are just failing? Give me your opinion. Give me a little rant. You listen to it, so let me listen to yours. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and head home. I went ahead and think I've hit the about 20-minute mark now, so I will leave you with a couple of photos of me riding on a mountain roller coaster, which was actually really sick. I usually don't buy these photos, but I mean, you'll see them. I thought they were worth it. But anyways, this was LittleMoeGaming at lunch. Take care. Coaster. Little, you see it right there. Oh, I can't zoom in. But it's like a little one-seater coaster. Figured we'd try it out, but yeah, that's a little crazy view right there. My wife's saying, let's go.